Roaring Kitty is back in business and WallStreetBets is a madhouse. From one user losing his life savings to another user hitting $1 million play while in college, we are gonna go over the craziest GameStop trades of May. Club Poke 101 is a user who posted to WallStreetBets on May 13th to let everyone know that he was YOLOing his life savings. Club Poke 101 was ready for round 2 of the meme stock rally and threw $42K into shares. The stock was already up over 100% for the day, so people were clowning on him for buying at the peak. Little did everyone know, the peak would keep on peaking. Club Poke woke up the next day and rassled up a $19,000 gain. This boosted his portfolio by 45% in just 6 hours. Club Poke knew that it was time to walk away from the position, but Curly Noir is someone who wouldn't be as lucky. Curly Noir is a young 18-year-old looking to come up on a quick buck. Guided by his fellow anti-investors on the subreddit, he decided to scoop up calls on AMC. Unfortunately for him though, he bought these calls bright in the morning on May 14th, and the stock would only fall for the rest of the day, going from $11.82 in the morning down to $6 4 hours later. Curly Noir was hit with a 76% loss for the day. An $8,000 loss is pretty rough, but since he's only 18, he still has a lot of time to learn from his mistakes. Looking at his Reddit history, we can see that he was active for round 1 of the meme stock craze. 3 years ago, we can see comments like this: "Come on boys, hold till 1,000. Don't sell, don't give in. Hold, rocket, 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 buy more, rocket, 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 rocket." And AMC had a short interest of 78%, which means if we buy it up, we can be like GameStop and go over 300. So we gotta buy it up. Short sellers are forced to buy it back, so $50 is guaranteed. We could probably push to 300 by Thursday. Come on boys, we got this. Rocket, 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 hands, diamond hands. So yeah, it's nice to see that not a darn thing has changed over the past 3 years. Jesus Nados is a user who is currently 23 years old and in college. Despite his age, he made the trade of a lifetime and became an overnight millionaire. On May 13th, Jesus saw the craziness going on with AMC and GameStop, so he decided to get in on the action. Jesus is only 23, but he already had $250,000 to play with. According to him, he went from $20K to $40,000 a couple years ago with AMC's first run. He then saved up even more money and put $70K into Bitcoin. Bitcoin rallied and brought him up to $100K. After that, he bought Shiba Inu until he finally reached $250,000. Flash forward to May 13th of this year, and he was ready to make another move. He then dumped $250K into calls that expired only 4 days later. His calls were already slightly in the money, but this obviously doesn't take away from the riskiness of the trade. Not too long after opening the position, Jesus was down 15K, and he was worried that he was about to lose his life savings. He laid in bed the whole day scared that he was gonna lose everything, but he didn't jump the gun and sell too early. This move paid off as he woke up the next day as an overnight millionaire in college. Jesus was staring at his portfolio and decided that it was time to lock in his gains. He sold his 2,037 calls for a total profit of $1.003 million for the day. A story like this sounds pretty unbelievable, but after being confronted by a mod on the subreddit, Jesus was able to prove that these trades really did happen. If you're someone who is sick and tired of the diciness of the stock market, then look no further, because Kalshi, the sponsor of today's video, is the first legal platform in the US where people can trade on events in all 50 states. When doing due diligence on a company, investing in calls or puts is always a bit of a shot in the dark. Even if the company reports phenomenal earnings, poor guidance, wacky IV, or theta can completely soil your position. Kalshi gets rid of this problem because you can make trades on specific events that are gonna happen within companies. Instead of getting calls or puts on Tesla before they announce deliveries, hoping that everything just lines up, you can instead get contracts specifically based on their quarterly delivery amount. On top of this, the first 500 people who sign up using my link in the description will get a free $20 credit. So why not sign up and see what you can do with your bonus? Kytran40 is someone who saw the re-emerging hype around GameStop and felt like it was a bunch of baloney. Pulled in by Theta Gang, he thought it would be a good idea to, quote, sell covered calls to Little did Kai Tran know that this would be a half-baked move. GameStop's crazy run put his position in the red by $303,000. New Set 3059 is a user who got risky and put his diamond hands to the test. New Set has gone on record saying that all he wants, all he can ever ask for, is to just make 4 to 5K per week besides his full-time job. Some people would start talking trash to New Set, saying things like, hey, how can you expect to make $250,000 a year in passive income? Hey, how are you gonna manage to stay consistent? And a bunch of other doubtful comments that you would expect from naysayers. On May 10th, New Set returned to WallStreetBets, and it seemed like the naysayers were right. He was down 36K on GameStop calls. This was 45% of his position, and these calls expired in a few weeks. So things weren't looking too promising. Elusive Dragon 47 said, LMAO dude, 80K and you blow on options? You could have bought shares at 5,000 units on a dip and sold for profit. Snoo Dingoes 3776 said, you're cooked with deep out of the money calls. Pray for a miracle, dip. Lurking in a Cape said, what a nerd. If you're gonna play the memes, you just buy the stock. It's that easy. Have you learned nothing from the blood, sweat, and tears of the GameStop saga, idiot? Suddenly, with the help of Keith Gill, New Set would prove these people wrong. His $40,000 position would quickly turn into $342K. His position would have been worth 7 figures if he held another day, but that's alright because his gain was already impressive enough. On March 13th, NiroGain spent $9,500 on GameStop calls that expired a few months out. GameStop hadn't made any major moves, of course, until May. Suddenly, his $9,500 position was now worth $22K. This $126 gain wasn't enough for him though, so he held off on hitting that sell button. Only a day later, he came back to the subreddit to show that it was now up 300%. NiroGain got his hands on a 5-figure gain with GameStop and decided that it would be a good idea to push his luck with AMC. Lo and behold, AMC also went on an insane rally. NiroGain's $3,300 AMC position skyrocketed to $59,000 in value. Nathan is another user who managed to get pretty lucky, except Nathan didn't quit while he was ahead. Nathan bought 10 AMC calls at the $8 strike price that expired on May 17th. AMC's rally sent his calls flying to a value of $4,000. He 21x'd his money, but he was confident that the stock was gonna keep rising. Unfortunately for him though, May 15th would not be a good day for AMC, and his calls came falling back down to a total value of $380. Nathan is still sitting on a 100% gain, but according to him, he is not ready to sell. Ash Options is a user who made his first post to WallStreetBets on April 30th. He showed off his $24,000 gain for the day, and people in the comments would tell him to take his profits and leave quickly. Little did they know, Ash had a dastardly options play that was about to pop out of the toaster. Back on March 22nd, Ash dropped $300 on AMC calls that expired on June 21st. The only thing is that Ash's story starts to get a little bit suspicious. He got calls that had a $20 strike price, which is pretty outrageous considering he bought them back in March. But for now, let's just go along with his story and believe that he got this lucky. On May 15th, his $300 position blossomed to a value of $16.5K. Ash posted this to WallStreetBets, but this is where the naysayers would start to re-emerge. And this time, it seems like the naysayers were right. NYC Walker 76 says something doesn't add up. Market value is $16,500 minus your initial bet of $300, which is $16,200. Why is then your total return shortchanging you $15 at $16,185? This is a pretty valid point, and it definitely pokes a pretty big hole in his story. Robinhood only charges a 3-cent fee per call. So what do you guys think? Did Ash Options really get a 5,100% gain? Or is this story a bunch of malarkey? Huge shout out to Miguel Hazler and 2008 Ford Fusion for subscribing to the Diamond tier on Patreon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts on round 2 of the meme stock craze.